kick off these podcasts with some sort of clever or snappy quote, but this fortnight's quote was literally going to be guttural roaring, sort of in a way to represent Punisher Season 2. But I didn't think anyone would appreciate me sort of death metal screaming into a microphone, so just assume that I did. And let's move on with this episode of the Pixel Pop Movie Podcast. I'm your host, Toby. This fortnight, I'm joined by the drenched in blood and ready to kill Ethan.
Oh, yeah, that's me.
And the locked and loaded with extra ammunition, Lucas.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, boy. We've got a good bit of news to go through this fortnight. There's been some really exciting announcements, a couple of really cool trailers. Probably so much, in fact, that I haven't even had a chance to keep up with it all, to be honest. We're going to do a spoiler-free thoughts on Glass, the sequel to, of course, Split and Unbreakable, which Ethan has seen, Lucas not yet. So, but I said we won't do spoilers. And of course, we're going to do time. Yeah, it's been a busy week. And we're going to do some spoiler-free thoughts on Punisher Season 2 as well. So if you haven't seen either of those, don't sweat it. We won't be spoiling any of the experience for you. But before we jump into that, let's start with news as always. Please take us away, Ethan.
Well, some news I'm sure Toby's going to be happy is that Dave Bautista has joined the new Dune reboot, also starring Timothée Chalamet, directed by Denis Villeneuve guy.
Yeah, Denis Villeneuve. I mean, it's okay. I guess it depends on what he's playing. There's been a couple of other casting announcements I saw the last week too. A few other decent names got picked up, I think. There was Lady Jessica got cast.
I'm just trying to find the other one.
So it's Timothée Chalamet, Rebecca Ferguson.
One of them's the witch.
She's Lady Jessica.
Yeah, and another one just got cast, another strong female got cast for the Bene Gesserit witch. This is a major role in this film.
Is that Mother Moham?
Yeah, Mother Mohim, yeah.
Mohim, yeah. So that's Charlotte Rampling from... she's been in a lot of stuff. A lot of people might know her from Broadchurch. She was the lawyer that was going blind. And Stellan Skarsgård as well has also been cast.
Yeah, that's the one. Stellan Skarsgård is Baron Harkonnen.
Yeah, Baron Vladimir Harkonnen. That's an interesting role too, because... I mean, if you haven't read the book, I don't want to spoil the movie, but he's the villain, which would be a neat twist.
Spoilers! Jesus Christ!
Oh, wow, Toby.
Oh, I know, right? No,
I can't believe you do that.
No, you'll know he's the villain from like the first 5 seconds. So I can guess at what Bautista might be playing. I suspect he'll probably be a Harkonnen as well, just due to his build.
They've already announced who he is.
Oh, okay. Who is he?
Glosso Rabin?
Raban. Yes.
Raban, yeah.
Yeah, Raban. Okay, so he is a Harkonnen. He's one of the Baron's nephews. Yeah, he's a big boy, and he's a bit of a... He's not too bright, but he's a killer. So that, sorry, Dave Bautista, but I guess you're being typecast.
Kind of sounds like his character in Skyfall.
Yeah, this would be really interesting too, because we've seen Bautista in sort of, we did see him in Blade Runner, which was obviously a short but serious role. We've seen him in Guardians, of course, where it's more of a comedic role. His part in this, depending on how Villeneuve films it, isn't going to be huge, but again, it's going to be a very serious role. So it's a good opportunity for Dave to sort of show some more variation in his acting. Be good.
It probably sounds like he's become friends with Denis as well, considering that he also did Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah.
I think like Bautista's one of those
frequent collaborator too.
I get the feeling Bautista is one of those really genuine guys who wears his heart on his sleeve.
He seems like it, yeah.
Yeah, and if you look after him, he will look after you, sort of thing, like with loyalty.
Well, he's loyal to James Gunn completely as well.
Exactly.
Everything that happened there. So.
Yeah. Well, interestingly, Marvel killed off his character in the comic books just recently too.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, moving on. Variety has reported that Sony has brought back the screenwriter Kelly Marcel to write the sequel to Venom, which is full go ahead for a 2020 release date, October.
Nice.
Have they said if Ruben Fletcher?
I don't know if he's coming back for it because he's going to be doing Zombieland 2 very soon this year. So he might be a bit too busy, but that comes out October. But he may not have enough time to go from Zombieland 2 to do Venom 2.
I don't know. He could do it back to back, and then while they're doing the post production of Zombieland, he'd go do Venom, come back, do the press for Zombieland, and then go and do press for Venom.
It just says that Ruben Fleischer may not return, however, due to overlapping schedule with Zombieland 2, which then means Woody Harrelson's going to have an overlapping schedule with Zombieland 2 and Venom 2.
Exactly.
If Carnage is going to be a main part of it. We don't know if Carnage will be a main part. We know he's been set up for a future movie. Next we have Love, Death and Robots as a project from Deadpool director Tim Miller and David Fincher, which is a series of 18 short films that span science fiction, fantasy, horror and comedy. And each one is done from a different animation studio and a different director as well. It's kind of like ABC's of Death or VHS, those sorts of things, but an animation one exclusive to Netflix. And they have pictures of each one, and they actually look really good.
Yeah, I read recently too, Netflix is dropping like 19 billion this year on like
this year
creating
on
content.
Movies.
That's nuts.
Yeah. Next we have from Will Smith, Bad Boys for Life is officially a go. Him and Martin Lawrence are back filming it.
Bad Boys for Life with a 3 at the end for the
life. Of course there is, because they're decided to go with one of those.
There's a lot of people that are going to be really keen for that. I'm not sure I'm one of them, but you know.
I'm not.
I definitely am.
Bad Boys 2 will be.
Bad Boys 2 is fucking
I never finished 2.
Yeah.
Next, we had a trailer for Polar, which is, the description says, the world's top assassin, Duncan Visser, aka the Black Kaiser, played by Mads Mikkelsen, is settling into retirement when a former employee marks him as a liability to the firm. Against his will, he finds himself back in the game, going head-to-head with an army of younger, faster, ruthless killers who will stop at nothing to have him silenced. So it kind of sounds like John Wick, but Netflix's only one, with Mads Mikkelsen, Catherine Winnick, who plays Lagertha in Vikings, Matt Lucas, who you know from Little Britain, they're in it, and the score is done by Deadmau5 as well. So
I did not know Deadmau5 was doing the score.
Yeah, he did the whole score for the movie.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah.
This thing is going to be chaos.
So that's out this Friday. And the trailer looks good. Lots of action. Mads Mikkelsen, can't go wrong. Catherine Winnick, can't go wrong. Looks good.
Yeah. The whole car, like just everything about the trailer was just amazing.
Yeah, that looks like it's going to be a good ride, so I'm looking forward to that. But that's Australia Day weekend too, next weekend, so we have plenty of time to catch up. All right, what else is happening?
Well, next we had a special look at Captain Marvel.
Yeah, so we'll have that trailer, of course, in the written article that goes with this podcast, so if you haven't seen it, look there.
Next we have Io, another Netflix-only movie starring Margaret Qualley and Anthony Mackie and Danny Huston.
Yeah, which is out now, so...
Which is out now, yep.
Yep, you can go watch that.
Unlike a lot of trailers that we talk about, you can go and watch this one right after you finish listening to this.
Yeah, because I mean, it just came out of nowhere. Like the trailer was released, I mean, admittedly a week ago, but it was really sort of I didn't see any build up or warning to this. It was like, and by the way, here's this thing.
Yeah, so the first trailer for it dropped on the 12th, and they're like, hey, we're going to drop this next Friday, and just it was literally out of the blue. And then the three main characters are Danny Houston,
Anthony Mackie,
and I can't remember who the girl is, but the girl's
Margaret Qualley.
Yeah, she's done a couple of things recently as
well. She was in the most recent Death Note, Netflix's Death Note movie.
That's right.
I get the feeling they're the only characters.
Well, it sounds of it, yeah.
Yeah. But no, like, this genuinely looks like a good movie.
Yeah, it looks interesting.
Next, we had a trailer for John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum.
Yes!
And that's looking insane.
Yeah,
and finally, we'll actually get this one in Australia on its actual release date, and not several months later.
Thank God.
With an outstanding cast added to it for this one as well.
This may be getting into spoiler territory, so I feel like Toby may cut this out. I really want to know how he got from New York to the middle of the fucking desert. Because the
money.
We'll find out.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's just really interesting that, like, they could have done that entire movie in New York.
Yeah.
Well, I think if you follow the trailer, it appears that he's connecting with an old acquaintance who's living, I'm assuming by the looks, almost in Egypt or something like that. Maybe out in the middle of Vegas. I don't know. And so he's proceeded on foot to her location. And I think the spoiler is actually that if you watch that trailer, towards the end, he sort of walks past a gentleman who opens a door for him and he's got the gun. I reckon he's going in to kill, like, the boardroom of all these assassins. I reckon that's a late part of the film. But anyway, we'll find out. Who knows? We could be completely wrong. Yeah. But it looks good. And the trailer definitely had a lot of sort of pep to it, like with the countdown and like shit dropping. And it's just going to be balls to the wall. It's going to be intense. It's one of those films that's just not going to let you get a breath. And I'm looking forward to it.
Next, we had a trailer for another Netflix movie, which is out on February 1st, and that is Velvet Buzzsaw. Coming from the same director as Nightcrawler, where he's re-teaming with Jake Gyllenhaal for this, as long as Rene Russo, Toni Collette, Natalie Dyer, John Malkovich, among others. This looks pretty good.
It is hectic, man. Like,
I'll take your word for it.
I
but I will watch it.
I don't even want to say anything because it's going to ruin the trailer for Toby. But like,
well, if it would ruin it for me, then it's going to ruin it for our listeners. So don't listen to what Lucas is saying. Just go watch the trailer.
All
Do
I'm going to
yourself a
say,
favor.
all I'm going to say is there's a twist about halfway through that you don't see coming.
Nice.
And
Or watch it.
Shit goes fucking wild.
Or you can watch it in 2 weeks on Netflix.
Yeah, don't spoil anything at all.
Hold out.
Hold out
Yeah.
and go. Yeah, relax. Don't do it when you're going to go watch it.
And now for our final trailer news, we finally had the Spider-Man Far From Home teaser trailer.
Yep.
We actually had two of them.
Yeah.
We had an international one and a normal one.
Yep.
The international one didn't add too much, but yeah, it's gonna be good.
Yeah.
There's I think, let's tinfoil hat for a second here. I think there's a lot of room for a Captain Britain to fit in that film.
Yeah, I was also, there is. There's a lot of room for Captain Britain as well as several others.
Yeah, I think, I honestly believe, I mean, this is the first step into phase, four, isn't it? I honestly think we will see the introduction. Yeah, I think we're going to see the introduction of at least one new hero that we're not expecting, for sure.
What are you talking about? We're getting Mysterio.
He's such a great guy,
hero.
right?
He's a hero.
Yeah, that's gonna end up well. Yeah,
Yeah.
Sure. Thanos did nothing wrong.
There's actually one thing I noticed in the trailer is that you see in Spider-Man Homecoming, and you saw it in Civil War and Infinity War, but he filming the movies, Tom Holland actually wears a suit, but they always go over and retouch it with CGI in almost every movie. And there's like one scene in the trailer where he swings and it has no CGI on it at all, and it's clearly noticeable that it's an untouched suit of him swinging. And to me, it just stands out, and there's a bit of like I don't know, it just stands out a lot to me. Like it shouldn't be like that.
On the flip though, it's a testimony to Holland's gymnastic ability. Like the dude's a nut. Like he jumps off walls, he flips off walls and stuff for real.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, he is a literal gymnast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know,
this is
exactly.
Gonna be good.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, it will be. And I'd be curious. They're obviously very careful with that trailer too, because it's sort of like, this is post-Endgame, so they have to be very careful what they show. And
yeah.
So, it'd be interesting.
Next, we have a Final Destination reboot is in development from the Saw writers.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that.
I mean,
I was never a big fan of Final Destination anyway, so...
I like the way the last one ended, but we'll see how this goes. They were supposed to be the final one, but...
It always is. Look at Freddy and Jason and all that.
Yeah,
it's always the final one. It never is.
Next, we have a animated Mortal Kombat movie is on the way, which I'm excited for this. It's from the same people who do a lot of DC's animated movies. It's from them, with Joel McHale is being cast in it as the lead, as well as Jennifer Carpenter, who you might know from Dexter. They haven't said who they're going to be, but I mean, if Joel McHale's in these, probably playing Johnny Cage.
I was about to say Johnny Cage has to be it.
Yeah.
So
that'll be good.
I was a mad Mortal Kombat fan way back in the 90s. I sort of fell off the bandwagon after sort of the third game, but and I know a lot of people enjoyed the movies, but I loathed them because I was just one of those like diehard passionate gamer guys, and it's like, no, you changed my story, and I just never forgave them, and I've never been able to really enjoy anything since. Because the games too are so gory, and the movies were just really dull back by comparison. It's like, if you're going to do an MK movie, it's going to be in hard R. It needs to have all the guts.
I think that's what they're trying to do with the new reboot. They're trying to get a new live action one up off the ground, but none of that's going through at the moment. This next
bit sounds interesting, if that's where we're going.
Eddie Murphy is officially returning to Coming America 2.
Now,
this the first one. So,
this is doubly interesting, and it's probably not in that article that you found the news source. There was a lot of controversy surrounding the original Coming to America in terms of copyright claims and lawsuits and all sorts of stuff. Like that was, I think, part of the reason why there was never a sort of a sequel or anything like that. It sort of there was if you care to get into it and read the Wikipedia about this whole thing, there was a massive lawsuit involved in terms of someone submitting a script and then having it turned down, and then them using that script to create the movie. A lot of controversy. So I'm surprised. I mean, I'm pleased because I think the first one was a great movie. It was a lot of fun. but I'm quite surprised that they're actually... So whatever legal problems there were, I think the person involved is actually dead now. So obviously it's all sort of put to rest and they're able to come back and do the sequel, I suppose. And there you go. There's a huge information bomb you weren't expecting, right? Yeah, no, the first one's funny. If you haven't seen it, it's good Murphy. It's back in the 80s, and it's very enjoyable.
Next, we have a Lady Sif TV series is in the work for Disney+. This is just a rumor, nothing concrete, but a Lady Sif series is in the works. So maybe Jamie Alexander's time as her TV show Blind Spot may be coming to an end, so she might have time to do this. Who knows? But there's that bit of news. Next, we have Dan Trachtenberg, who directed 10 Cloverfield Lane, will now direct Sony Pictures at Uncharted. Sean Levy was originally supposed to be in the director's seat, but dropped out. And Tom Holland is starring as a young Nathan Drake, so this is going to be hopefully pretty good.
So Tom Holland is Nathan Drake?
A young Nathan Drake, yeah.
Yeah. I can get behind that.
Wasn't Nathan Fillion attached to this at one point, or was that just his own homemade
it's
thing?
It's like a fan casting thing, but he also did like a fan film for it. He did one, but fans have been wanting Nathan Fillion to be Drake for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I love Nathan Fillion, but he's probably a little bit old for the role.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not overly familiar with the games, but I know enough that I think Fillion's probably... Whereas I feel flip side, Holland's probably a little bit young. And the problem... I understand, from his point of view, it makes sense because he's not going to want to get typecast as the little boy. You know, he's going to try and... He doesn't like Harry Potter, you know what I mean? Like, he needs to break free of the little boy thing. So I get that. But I also feel that for the role, he might just be... I know if he's meant to be young, but still, he might be a touch... too young. I don't know.
But the movie's supposed to be based on a part that you see in 2 of the games where he's actually young and living on the streets, and he first meets Sully, and that's where the movie's supposed to be taken from.
Right. So is he only going to have a small role, and then another actor's playing an older Drake, Nathan Drake?
No, I think it's just going to be all like young one.
I don't know if that's what the fans want though.
But yeah, no, sorry. So yeah, Bryan Cranston was also attached.
Yeah.
So that could be interesting.
I think Sully, that's going to be great. That'll be really good.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, next we have 2 Mission Impossible sequels that are to be filmed back-to-back. Christopher McQuarrie will return to direct them. They'll be released summer 2021 and summer 2022.
Unpopular opinion, let them die. Just let it die.
I've never seen a single one, so I don't care.
I would actually like to see it reboot and get rid of... I mean, sorry, Cruise, don't kill me, but get rid of Cruise. Like, It's time for a fresh start.
I actually really like... It's the only movies that I like Tom Cruise in, which is so fucking weird to say.
I've only liked him in War of the Worlds and Edge of Tomorrow. The only other 2 I've liked him in. That's it.
But no, Mission Impossible movies, I've loved them ever since the first one. I remember, like, when I was a kid going down to Botany Bay and seeing where they filmed the motorcycle scene from the second movie, like, because all that was shot in Australia. Yeah, I've just loved those movies ever since. I haven't seen the latest one. Because I need to sit through and rewatch them again because I haven't seen them in quite a while. But yeah, Mission Impossible movies, I'm really cool with it.
On to some more news that I'm sure no one cares about, but I'll say it anyway. A Quiet Place producers are rebooting the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles again, and I'm pretty sure they're the same producers that the other ones had. It's all done from Michael Bay and all the rest of it, so I don't know why. Kind of second didn't make shit on money.
Was the last one that had Megan Fox as April O'Neil? Was that
both of them had it. The second one had Stephen Amell as Casey Jones.
I mean, I watched one, and it wasn't bad. I mean, I grew up in watching the 1980s cartoon. I mean, that was my generation, and I loved that. It wasn't bad. I mean, I probably only watched it the one time, so... You know, I suppose my advice to them is keep the budget low.
Yeah, pretty much.
It was okay. I mean, it was a bit silly, but then I don't think it's intended to be taken too seriously either.
These were not Golden Globe contenders by any stretch.
No, and to me, and I know people will strongly disagree. To me, it's the same category I slump things like the Transformers movies, being that I was never a Transformers big fan. I watched a cartoon again, but I'm not caught up in that. So I could put these sorts of shows in that one category and go, it's the cool thing you might watch on a Blu-ray or a DVD once, every couple of years, and that's fine.
Yeah, Transformers lost me when they gave a Transformer testicles.
Yeah.
So the second one?
Yeah. It was because the first one was great, and I'm like, holy shit! Yeah. We saw the second one, and like, you saw Transformer Dick and Balls, and you're like, yeah, I've had
Did
enough.
you see the reviews though for Bumblebee?
Yeah,
Bumblebee's apparently really good.
it's
Very impressive reviews. Apparently, it's the highest rated live action Transformers film of all time.
Moving along, Jason Reitman, or Reitman, how you say it.
Reitman
to direct and to write and direct the new Ghostbusters movie.
Well, this is
the original
this is the son of the original writer.
Yep, original writer and director. Yep.
Yeah, the son thereof. Yeah.
They've already shown off a little teaser unveiling the car again, and apparently it's going to feature some teenagers.
Yep.
Who may or may not be related to the cast of the original.
Yeah.
We don't know. We'll find out.
So
Comes out summer 2020.
I had read that it was two boys, two girls.
I think that's what it's going to be too. I think it's going to be like
I'm
a
pretty sure
daughter
I read
of.
it. I don't know if it's serious, but I'm pretty sure I read that. Because
Yeah,
there was a retort made online to the female actress from the reboot who was obviously quite upset and had said some things that were perhaps not said, but she felt that it was sort of like a bit of a slap in the face of an all-female cast, and someone said, well, hey, it's both, it's female and male, and yeah, I'm pretty sure it's confirmed. So,
yeah.
But hey, look, I mean, it's more Ghostbusters. So what's there's no for the fans, there's no loss here. You know,
and as well,
hopefully,
it's
really
going to
hope
be set in the OG universe too. Like it's going to be set, with
I think, and we've
Bill
said this
Murray,
before, I think that the reboot would have done a lot better if it didn't have just the politics surrounding it. And it wasn't just from public. I mean, the public was largely, don't get me wrong, there was a lot of blame that we could put on members of the public for that shit. But I think Sony and the director also stirred up a lot of their own political shit with that film. And I feel that spoiled it for a lot of people. And I hope this film can remain free. I mean, I hope all films can remain free of it, obviously, because it's an entertainment piece. So hopefully they can escape that and not have any kind of political stigma attached to it. That would be bad, in my opinion. Anyway.
Next we have some new cast for the Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle sequel. First we got Awkwafina, who was recently in Ocean's 8. Then we got Danny DeVito join the cast, and now we have Danny Glover.
Holy shit.
Now, they joined this along with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Kevin Hart, Jack Black, and Karen Gillan, and Nick Jonas, all reprising their roles in the film.
Are they still saying, next year, though, for this thing, or this Christmas? Whatever it is?
The film is slated to be released December 13th, 2019, and hasn't even started filming yet.
Holy shit.
So I'm not sure.
It's just going to be an elaborate RPG session where everyone ad-libs their shit.
Because, I mean, considering that the first one started filming September 2016 and then came out December 2017, it's over a year and 3-month turnaround.
Yeah, and they're still casting. I mean, I'm assuming the film's in pre-production, right? So they're probably doing storyboards, set design, costumes.
Yeah, they've been doing
I get
all
that.
Yeah.
But you're still casting.
Apparently filming's going to start this month.
Yeah, I was about to say,
I'm still casting? Shit.
I'm just looking at it, and it says that it's going to start late this year.
Late
this month.
The Rock is pretty much just finishing up doing his last for Hobbs and Shaw, and I think he's probably going to be straight into this.
Yeah, that's what the delay is.
It's fucking working.
This is the 21st of January. It is late this month already. Shit.
Yeah.
To be banging in names and locking them in now. Fuck. This is some last minute shit.
Yeah.
That worries me because I'm after sort of our last podcast where we talked about the second one. I'm actually keen to go and watch it now. You guys sort of hyped me up for it a little bit. It's genuinely good. And so now I'm kind of worried that this is just going to be a botched mess.
Yeah.
I hope not.
Next we have another Netflix series called Space Force. It's being developed from The Office creator Greg Daniels and will star Steve Carell. It says the series is inspired by the federal government's announcement of wanting to create a sixth branch of the military, which will be titled Space Force.
And this is really funny because not only less than 2 articles ago we were talking about how politics should stay out of entertainment. Yeah. Steve Carell and one of the co-creators of the Office, the US Office, is literally making a show based off Donald Trump's announcement that he wants to create the Space Force.
Yep.
And it's going to be an Office-style thing set in the current government, which is going to be fucking bonkers.
That's That's.
I'm not a Steve Carell fan either, and I when I heard about this, I'm like, this could be interesting.
I've never seen The Office.
It could also be fucking dangerous.
Yeah.
Could be.
You know, this guy, I could, 2 weeks' time, Steve Carell's had a fucking car accident. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
They're not the Clintons. Too soon? Is that too soon?
It's just, I mean, it's ballsy. I'll give him that. It's fucking ballsy, man. I wouldn't be doing that shit. Anyway.
Next
but you're not Steve Carell.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Thank Christ.
Yeah, you're funny.
Robert Zemeckis. Robert Zemeckis has cast Anne Hathaway as the Grand High Witch in his new adaptation of The Witches.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, The Witches. That's right. Yeah. Man, that movie scared so many kids.
Oh, it scared the fuck out of me.
And she played the part so well.
Was that sorry?
The news in this came from me was the fact that they were making a reboot. I didn't even know this was happening.
Doing it either. No.
Yeah, this is interesting too when you consider. Remember, not long ago, Netflix announced that they're doing a whole bunch of Dahl stuff as animations. So Dahl's obviously a hot topic again.
Yeah.
Was The Witches Dahl?
Yeah, Roald Dahl.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, good book.
Next we have Disney is doing a live-action remake of Hunchback of Notre Dame, and Josh Gad is involved.
Just stop. My daughter is already sharpening her knife for the Lilo and Stitch trailer when it drops. Like, she's just going on a rampage, Punisher style. She's like, "How dare you touch like my Lilo and Stitch?"
So this is where I've got my opinion on this. Right, every live-action adaptation they've done so far has not sucked. As long as they keep
despite the people complaining beforehand.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
To me, the way I see it, as long as they keep putting out good stuff, I'm going to keep going to see it. I don't know why people are complaining. Like it's their childhood. It was kind of one of those things. Yeah, but it was one of those things where we kind of knew where all this was going to happen. You know, everyone was worried about how The Lion King was going to be done. Everyone saw that first trailer where they did Circle of Life, and now everyone's on board with it. Like, it's just one of those things.
And the flip side of that is, this is my strategy is, I just won't go see them, and no one's forcing me to. I'm not held at gunpoint. If I love the original so much, I just don't go see the remakes. It's simple.
Yeah,
you don't have to see them.
I mean, you don't have to, but like, I don't know. My opinion on it is that so far they haven't really let anyone down. Everything that they've done with live action, every live action adaptation that they've done has been good. I don't know why people are worried that this is going to be the one that's going to suck. Like, I get that this is the whole thing of like, oh my god, this was my childhood. Guess what? It was my childhood too. I'm just as psyched. Like, until they start putting out bad shit, I'm going to have faith that it's going to be good.
We have Vin Diesel sharing the first image of the Bloodshot movie as him in character. It just looks like Vin Diesel with some shades on and an army.
I know I'm going to get ridiculed. Who's Bloodshot?
He's from a comics called Valiant. They've had a web series called Bloodshot vs. the Valiant Universe, and he's pretty much gets infused with nanites, which makes him his skin go all white, and he's like super powered and all this sort of shit. They're just trying to start a new franchise, I assume, with Vin Diesel as the lead.
Okay. Can we just finish the fucking Riddick series, please?
Oh man, I fucking wish. I watched him all like a couple of weeks back, and I fucking want him to fucking.
He needs to go into Underverse, do what he's got to do, and end this shit. For fuck's sake.
Yep. Next we have New Mutants has reportedly been delayed once again. I did hear rumors about a week back saying that Simon Kinberg was not happy with what Josh Boone had done to it, and was going to Simon Kinberg was going to finish filming half of the movie that he didn't like, but I'm not sure that's going to happen. They were supposed to start reshoots September last year, and that hasn't happened.
This movie's in deep trouble. I'm surprised it hasn't wanted to turn around already.
It sounds like Fox is actually considering a Hulu release for what's otherwise viewed as a Dead on Arrival film.
Yeah, this thing's in deep trouble. And I think part of the problem, and I could be wrong, is just the Fox acquisition. I think has had some small play, but obviously the creative forces behind this film too have just, one reason or another, whether it's producers or whatever, they seem to have just changed their minds a number of times, and it's just wrecked it by the sounds of it. And maybe they should just let it go, cut their losses.
Yeah, which I think they're trying to do, just chuck it up on Hulu and
then it'll be a piece of shit. It's terrible. It's sad.
And ending with some Fox news, Channing Tatum has said that he's interested in directing the Gambit movie himself.
Is that movie still in development?
Apparently, they actually wanted to start filming it end of this month, start of next month, I think. But they've got no director, so highly unlikely.
I have the super sunny, positive mentality, that I think this movie will happen, but I don't think it's going to happen under Fox.
Yeah.
And if it does happen, it's going to happen in another 10 years, and Channing Tatum is not going to be attached to it.
Oh, definitely.
As much as I want to see Channing Tatum do this role, because I'm one of the few apparently that think he's actually a good fit for the role, I don't think anything that is planned in the future for Fox is happening. I think we're going to get Dark Phoenix.
Yeah.
X-Force may continue, like X-Force and Deadpool and stuff may continue under Disney purely because is it Ike Perlmutter? Nah, it's not him. Who's the guy?
Bob Iger.
Is it Bob Iger?
Bob Iger runs Disney.
I think it was Bob Iger and Kevin Feige both said that they love what Deadpool is doing and they kind of want it to exist in its own pocket universe that's going to be outside of the MCU. But I think what they're going to do is they're going to scrap everything that's X-Men related that isn't Deadpool and X-Force and then reboot that into the MCU and then keep Deadpool separate.
Yeah.
But I think if they do a Gambit movie, it's going to be in 10 years' time inside the MCU when Channing Tatum's not going to have a goddamn thing to do with it. Which is unfortunate because this movie should have been made 4 years ago. It's one of those. It's going to be one of those big things for me where I'm like, man, what could have happened if that movie had happened?
Yeah. Last bit of news, actually, Lucas threw up. It's just news that's just come to hand. This is beating fresh. The third Fantastic Beasts production has been pushed back several months. I don't think there's a reason given, was there?
I didn't see anything, but it's kind of not surprising considering how poorly received the second one was. I wonder if it's being pushed back for script rewrites or something along those lines.
Yeah, first comment on that article is they should push the production start date back to never. Mm-hmm. Okay, there's some public backlash there, I think. A few offended peoples.
I know JK said that she has planned 5 movies, inside that Fantastic Beasts universe, so we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Now, before we jump into Ethan's spoiler-free sort of thoughts on Glass, I've been told that he's been watching very, very bad movies lately. So before we have a good opinion of him, or we think his opinion's worth anything when talking about Glass, maybe you should tell us what horrendous, nasty tidbits of shite you've discovered on the internet.
So, Punisher came out on Friday, and I watched the first 2 episodes on Saturday, and the season wasn't grabbing me at the moment. So I thought, I'll give another episode a watch on Sunday. Well, on Sunday I decided to watch 3 movies instead. So, firstly, I watched the live-action Scooby-Doo movie because I saw it on Netflix.
Get out.
Okay, that's not so bad. That movie was actually that movie was actually kind of fun.
Were you high at the time?
No.
Well, I'm not going to incriminate myself.
The second movie I watched was Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed because I saw that on Netflix too.
I'm seeing a trend. Right.
Jesus Christ.
The third movie I watched happened to be Final Destination 5 because I saw that on there as well, and I thought, well, I'm going to watch these. And after I watched them all, I'm like, oh, I didn't watch Punisher. I'm probably going to get yelled at tomorrow.
How is your ADHD these days? Look, a kitten.
Alive and kicking, yeah.
I gotta ask.
Alive and kicking all over the place.
I gotta ask because I don't remember. Is Final Destination 5 the one that loops back around?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was good. But,
that was probably the best one.
Yeah.
If
I
I'm
watched
being
all
honest.
those, and I sat there and I watched Scooby-Doo, full attention. And I'm like, yes, I remember this from when I was
full attention.
Yeah, I reckon he was. He was at full attention
because you don't have to watch movies paying any attention. I'll just put it on.
It was 17 years ago that came out, and I'm like, wow, this movie, yeah, I remember this, and I remember this, and I watched the second one, and I'm like, well, yeah, I remember this too. What a great time it was. And I'm like, yeah, all right, I'll watch those.
I think they pretty thought they were the first movies, like the first big Hollywood movies to film on the Gold Coast too.
Yeah, the first one was. The second one was in Vancouver, but the first one filmed at like Movie World and
Fraser Island, I think.
Yeah, around there.
It was one of the islands up.
Well, it wasn't Skyline 3, so it's not that bad.
Well, yeah. So initially,
if Skyline 3 popped up, whew, I would have been there in a fucking flash.
So Ethan texted me and he's like, "So you and Toby are going to be real mad."
Oh, that's fine. and we won't. I mean, we'll talk Punisher, but I can understand why Ethan might not have been grabbed. So, but we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
But before we do, tell us about Glass. So first of all, give us the score out of 10 so that anybody who's not interested in listening to your waffle and syrup can skip ahead, and then give us some spoiler-free thoughts.
I would give it about an 8 out of 10.
That speaks volumes to me, because this film's been getting some really negative, not negative, but very mixed reviews. And being that you and Lucas are like, you know, you bat off about these films, and then you're like, to give it an 8, like that's...
I would say the major down part for it is the pacing. The movie is very slow. That's the main thing. That's like the main issue with it.
Yeah, I've heard that. So I've heard that the movie, in a sense, is like where Unbreakable is slow, but it has its moments where it picks up, and you kind of get that adrenaline, and then you have you come down, and then you slowly build up to another big set piece, and then it slowly builds down. And where Glass is like,
Glass starts off pretty strong, and then drops to slow, and then picks up again for like the last half hour.
Okay. Yeah. One of the biggest complaints I've heard is that the director sort of treats the audience as idiots when it comes to superheroes and what they are, and it sort of tries to really mollycoddle the audience and sort of in explaining what a comic book hero is and all that sort of stuff. Did you feel that at all? Is there any truth in that, or?
It does kind of do that, but I didn't really feel like it was. Like
it didn't bother you?
Nah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. I totally plan on going to see it at some point. I've actually heard that it tries to, like, not so much try to explain in a dumbed down version of what a superhero is, but it tries to change the definition of what a superhero is. And that's where the explanation comes from. Like, it's more, you know, superheroes aren't what you have been led to believe they are. This is what a hero is.
It's kind of hard to go into that without...
I can imagine, without getting into spoilers and stuff.
Yeah.
Something though, like, sorry to cut you off, Ethan, but something I actually thought was really interesting. So, Toby brought up before the critic ratings. So currently on Rotten Tomatoes, the movie's sitting at 36% with an average rating of 5 out of 10.
Jeez.
That's coming from the critics.
The fans, yeah.
The audience score is 79% with an average rating of 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
IMDb is currently sitting at 7.2 out of 10.
Yeah, so that ties in pretty well with Ethan's score then. I mean... there's a
massive discrepancy between what the critics think and what people who are going to see the movie.
But also, people who want to see the movie are fans. You know what I mean? Like,
but also, for me... The people have been wanting a proper sequel to Unbreakable for 17 years. So they've had a 19, sorry.
Yeah.
So
not that I've been counting.
Yeah, I think a lot of people felt like the movie didn't pay off after those 19 years. And for me, I only watched Unbreakable for the first time last year. So for me, it wasn't that much like a waiting for a sequel to pay off. So for me, I think it didn't affect me in that way. So some of those people that may have marked it down have been waiting for 19 years and were disappointed in how it paid off after all this time, especially with Split and stuff like that. They may have been disappointed with how this was. I wasn't disappointed, but again, I've only been waiting a year for this. Fully get into it. I only watched Unbreakable when I found out that Split was connected to it, so I watched Unbreakable before I watched Split, and that's all I ever did.
Right.
So
it's not like I've been counting.
No, not at all. So,
and I can understand. I mean, it's sort of like when Duke Nukem Forever came out on as a video game. It was always going to fail because people had been waiting for this video game for 15 years, and unless it was the best video game that ever existed in the entire history of the human race, it was doomed to fail. You know, because the expectations were just so high, and perhaps, unfortunately, this film has suffered. Perhaps this film has sort of suffered a little bit of that too, where it's just a case of, you know, if he'd banged these out in sort of with 3-year gaps between them, it might not have turned out quite the same in that regard. Oh well. So obviously, if you're a fan of the first two films, it's definitely worth going to see this one. And I mean, even at 8 out of 10, that's still, you know, it says to me that's, if you're a fan, it's an enjoyable film.
I'm just worried that I may have talked this up a lot, and then I'm going to get some messages of abuse from Lucas when he goes and watches it.
Lucas is a grown boy, and he'll make his own mind up. He was always going to see it anyway, too.
My own hate, mate.
Yeah, whether you had seen it or not, he was still going to go see it.
Yeah, no, regardless, like... Unbreakable is arguably...
And I'm pretty sure you could have just said it 1 out of 10, worst piece of shit ever, and he would still go and see it because he wants to see this film.
I just need to see the conclusion. I need to see how this all wraps up.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, like... I can kind of understand where people are like, all right, cool, so here's the first movie, Unbreakable. Hey, here's the second movie, 17 years later, it's Split. Hey, this is now all of these characters meeting and having a face-off. Like, I didn't really expect... I don't expect Glass to be an Unbreakable sequel, because if it was an Unbreakable sequel, it would be called Unbreakable 2. It's not. And I think that's where my mindset is more of like, I know that this isn't going to pay off anything from Unbreakable purely because, as well, it's also now been 19 years since we saw David Dunn in a movie from start to finish. I'm totally expecting Dunn to just be the one to show up and just haul ass against Crumb. So we'll see
I look forward. I'm looking forward to maybe Lucas doing some sort of like more of a breakdown article, not a review, but I'd love to see a breakdown article with sort of more of a fans behind the scenes thoughts, I guess. Down the road, it might be neat. Maybe justify or explain things, because it seems like it's the sort of film that would warrant that. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Probably won't until it comes out in home release, to be honest. Okay, so let's talk Punisher 2, and I know Ethan and Lucas are probably just waiting for me to dribble into the microphone, and I know Ethan's only seen 2.
Yeah, dribble,
Lucas,
that's the word.
Lucas has seen 8, 9, did you say?
I've seen 8.
Yeah,
I'm totally okay actually with letting you kind of take the lead on this, purely because you are the more bigger Punisher fan out of the 3.
I didn't think I would get all done, to be honest. I fully intended to sort of have a few episodes left. I didn't intend to, but daughter was a bit crook today, and we're just sort of sitting on the couch watching an episode, and she's like, oh, just one more. So we did end up finishing it all. Spoiler free, of course, we're not going into spoilers. I felt that it's, if I'm going to be really honest, probably not as good as the first season. It definitely has a slow start, and I can understand how that's lost a few people. There's probably quite a few people that just went, and just because it didn't hold. And I can understand that. It definitely is a slow start.
Ethan?
Yeah, no, and honestly, I can't blame Ethan for this. It does. Even, like, myself and, like I said, my daughter and my wife were sitting there, and even my daughter was like, is this going to speed up? Like, we're all just, because we know who Punisher is now, we're all just waiting for him to, like, stab someone in the face. You know what I mean? So it was sort of like, hurry up with the good stuff. When the good stuff comes, it does well. But overall, I felt the story perhaps wasn't quite as good as the first season. Perhaps not quite as emotional as the first season, because we're now familiar with the character, and you can only sort of bring up the whole my family was killed trope so many times before it loses that emotional impact with you, I guess, as an audience. But in an odd kind of way, I don't know if this makes any sense, maybe Lucas will get me, even though I felt the story and this series probably wasn't quite as good, in some ways it felt a lot closer to the comic books. Like, it felt more like a comic book story.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you. Like, it wasn't really based off anything, if memory serves me right.
No, but the first one...
It felt very much like... I know exactly what you mean. Like,
it felt like a Punisher story.
More like a personal... Yeah, it felt like a bit more of a personal story in that, hey, in the first issue, he finds his kid, and then there's a story, like there's a mystery, and then Punisher basically has to go through and figure out things. And obviously I'm trying to be as generic as possible, but
yes.
I totally see where you're coming from. Like, this literally, like, that first episode could have been an issue 1 of a 12 issue run.
Yeah, exactly, and I felt that all through it. I did, honestly. Yeah. What didn't sort of seem to work was that it's 2 stories here, and I kept waiting for them to intertwine. And I don't want to spoil too much, but because it's not spoilers, but it didn't seem to gel. And I know if we've watched previous Netflix stuff, you know how, like, with Daredevil and whatever have you, we sort of had the first half of the season was a story, and then sort of like the second half was a story. We did that with Luke Cage as well. And this time they've sort of tried to weave the 2 together, but it never quite clicks, and it felt weird to me. And I honestly think, and this is not a spoiler, I think they should have dropped the Billy storyline. And just focused on the one thread in this season.
If you're saying what I think you're saying, like, if anything, they should have dropped the Pilgrim storyline. The Billy stuff is what's got me fucking enthralled.
Yeah, and that's fair enough. But I don't think you want both. And I think the core of the story that they were trying to tell didn't involve Billy. If starting with episode 1 and the story that's being told, doesn't really have a lot to do with Billy, and I just feel that it was sort of, it detracted from it. It's the storyline with Billy is good, don't get me wrong, but it's really artificially welded together with this other story arc in a really not a very good way. I've got to say, the guy who plays Billy, what's his name? The young chap.
Ben Barnes.
Holy shit! Amazing acting this season from that guy. Like, the first season he comes across as that cocky, arrogant guy, and you sort of think, well, that's kind of what he normally is. This season, he's playing someone that's obviously, had some serious mental problems, and there's some fantastic scenes with him, and he really just, top-notch acting. Really impressed.
Yeah, and that's what I mean, like, when I was kind of saying that if what you were talking about, if they had to drop one of the storylines, like, should have dropped Pilgrim, because the Billy storyline, without getting into the spoilers, like, he has a very twisted arc in that.
He does, but I think you could have done the Pilgrim in, say, 6 to 8, and then come back, assuming there's ever another season, you could have come back and then done, sort of like you did in Daredevil, how you had season 1 was Big Boss, and then it was sort of Big Boss comes back season 3 kind of thing. It was, I don't know. I mean, obviously time is a factor. I don't know if the scriptwriters knew or expected. I know Bernthal has said in an interview that if the show is cancelled, he's fine. Like, he's made his peace. He knows he doesn't have any control over that. No spoilers. It ends well. I was happy with the ending. It's reasonably satisfying. Maybe not quite as satisfying as Daredevil 4, but it was if it ends there.
Daredevil 4.
Oh, 3, sorry. Daredevil 3. Sorry. You know how it ended? It was sort of like, I felt Daredevil 3 ended very well. Like, it was a neat bundle.
No, it was not. Absolutely not.
Well, for me it was. But
you're forgetting the one key thing at the end of Daredevil, goddammit.
Sure.
I never finished it.
Oh my god.
I know.
Oh my god.
And this is, and to be fair, like, again, I'm not going to attack Ethan on this. I'll attack Netflix. This is why their shows are failing. Because you're dealing with a generation that has an attention span like Ethan's, and you need to keep them entertained. And they're not. And that's part of the reason these shows are failing. And I don't think season 2 of Punished is going to rate as well as the first. I did enjoy it. There's a lovely dedicated to Stan Lee at the very end that lingers on the screen for quite some time, which I thought was very nice. Again, no spoilers. There is some connections to the other Netflix Marvel shows in this. They're quite small, but they are there. There is a mention of Matt Murdock at one point and things like that. So I was surprised. I honestly thought that they would completely sever any and all contact with the other shows, but that's not quite the case.
Production of this had finished after. Before, all those cancellations happened, so...
Yeah, I guess. But it's a very slim tether, and again, I mean, call me optimistic and call me hopeful, wishful thinking, but, two things. One, this show is very separate from the other Netflix and Marvel shows, so I hope that works in its favour. And two, Disney doesn't do like doing hard R, and Disney can't do Punisher without a hard R. And I live and hope and dream that they don't put any pressure on Netflix for this particular character, because they can't do anything with it. So, living and dreaming and hoping we might see a Punisher 3.
Yeah.
But this does wrap things up pretty well. Like, I felt nearly all of the characters got a proper ending, and it ends well. So, it's worth pushing through and finishing it for the sake of completion. But yeah, it's interesting. It's a funny one. I felt the first season might have had a bigger budget, and it just, I don't know, it seemed more, the story was a bit more epic. But then, as I said, this is not as grand a story, but it feels a lot closer to a Punisher story. So I think fans of the comics will probably enjoy this a bit more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I must have a very unpopular opinion. I actually thought the first 2 episodes were fantastic. That's what hooked me. Because...
but you're enjoying the character exposition and all that sort of stuff, where I said a lot of people just tune into Punisher because they want to see people get fucked up.
Yeah, and like, I don't know, there was just something of it, like, even that first fight scene in the bar, like, that was fucking violent.
Oh yeah, it was.
He had a broken hand the entire time they filmed that as well.
Yeah, that's worked into the script.
Yeah.
Is that where he had the broken hand?
Yeah, he had a broken hand.
Yeah,
It was all taped up.
that's actually worked into the script and the story. He actually the character breaks his hand. Yeah, they move that into the story. It's neat.
Hectic. Yeah. Okay, I didn't realize that. I knew he had a broken hand at some point, but I didn't realize what it was. Now that I'm thinking about it, there's a part where like his hand is taped up for like 3 episodes.
Yeah.
I did never put 2 and 2 together. That's funny.
Yeah, I guess that's the beautiful thing about the character Punisher. It's easy to explain it away. Like, you know, the actor broke his hand. Well, then the character breaks his hand. He's a violent guy.
But no, like the first episode I thought was really, really great because you kind of like, I said this to a friend of mine, Frank had some character development off screen. He had a lot because where he is at the end of episode 13 of the first season to where he is at the start of season 2, he's a whole different character.
Yeah,
like it's a whole different character. And he's kind of like resigned into this fact that he's going to be a drifter and just, you know, moving town to town, doesn't really stay anywhere, and then he kind of like has that acceptance of like, maybe I want to stay somewhere. And then literally right as he's about to do it, shit goes sideways, and then he's just back.
I think the reason he keeps moving is he doesn't want to get emotionally connected to anybody because every time he does, they get hurt. And then that's exactly what happens and reinforces it.
Well, no, it's not even that. Like, it was just more that he does. The way I kind of understood it was that he doesn't want to. Not so much that he knows that whoever he emotionally attaches himself is going to get hurt. It's just more he doesn't want to have the attachments himself. And when he's kind of resigned himself into the fact that, okay, maybe I need to open up and maybe I need to be someone again. Literally, right as he makes that decision, you know, he gets into a fight in a bathroom.
Yep.
You know?
So I got a couple of little...
You see him make that decision in the car, not to get too deep into the spoilers, but he's in a car and he makes that decision and he drives all the way back.
He could have driven off, but he didn't, So a few little nitpicks. One, we see more of Bernthal's body this season, and I just would have liked to see the guy... I mean, he's a big guy, he is, but I would have liked to see him bulk up just a bit more. We get to see his legs this season, and you look at them and they're just pale little chicken legs. And I mean, it's an actor. I get that too, and he's playing a part. But you know, I would have just liked to have seen a bit more meat on him.
Would love to see a bit of dick.
Yeah, right. There was a bit of a problem. This is not Batman, right? There's a bit of a problem with consistency. There was some really odd things. So, his friend,
Curtis?
Curtis. They mention the leg, but he never should. He barely limps. Like it's not acted or shown particularly well. And there's one scene where he's sitting down, and you can see the ankle moving and everything, and it just. So there's some consistency problems too with the Punisher and his bruising and his scars. It's like it's there, and then the next scene it's not, and then it's back again, and this sort of stuff. And it was just it felt a little bit sloppier than season 1 in just a few little ways. Those were enough that I noticed them and they bothered me. So, you know, if there is a season 3, can we please, you know, fix that shit up?
And actually, funnily enough, speaking on a season 3, so I was reading something. I don't know if we've ever talked about it on here, but from what I understand, the Punisher rights are outside the Defender's rights.
Yes, I had mentioned that.
Yeah. So basically, like, it could be very well that all the Defender series get cancelled.
Yep.
But Netflix keeps the Punisher.
Yep. Which was a side. It was a separate.
Suck for Marvel.
It was a separate contract that was done later, and it's a side contract. It's not part of that main contract. So again, it all works in the favor of, you know, Punisher potentially continuing, assuming that there's enough views and all the rest of it. But if Disney, I mean, Marvel as part of Disney aren't going to do a hard R, and obviously that's why, you know, Deadpool 2 they released as a test with a PG version. You can't do Punisher justice as a PG-13. You just can't. Yeah. So I'm happy for him to stay on Netflix. I think Bernthal does an amazing job. He was born for the role. I think he loves the role, to be honest. Yeah. And I would be more than happy to see him continue with a few more seasons. There's definitely a lot more material they could dip into. And, you know, it was good. I enjoyed it. It's, as I said, I probably wouldn't say it's as good as the first season, but the pacing was by and large pretty good, although I did feel, I agree with Ethan, it's a bit of a slow start. especially if you're waiting for that action, and it's just, you got to realize. So if you haven't watched it yet, stick with it beyond the first couple of episodes, because you might, if you, depending on how you sort of watch shows, you might find it takes a while to spin up. But once it spins up, rest assured it spins up. Yeah, there's a bit more morality to the character this time as well. He's a bit more controlled, I guess, and less, because he's not necessarily avenging his own family. It's more, he seems a bit more controlled this time. He doesn't quite let loose as much. Yeah,
he seems to be a bit more reserved.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. There's some pretty good fight scenes where he fucks people up.
Oh my god!
And he still kills. Yeah.
So I was going to bring it up without bringing. I was going to bring up the specific scene without bringing it up.
You're going to say Jim, weren't you?
I was going to say the gym.
Yeah.
That's all I need to say. That fight with that big dude has to be the most graphic thing I've probably seen in mainstream television.
Yeah, the girls actually looked away. Yeah, the girls looked away. Yeah, my daughter has watched the whole thing, but she looked away. She's watched Rambo 1, 2, 3, and 4, but she looked away in that scene because it's pretty exploited. It's pretty graphic.
That comes back as well to the whole thing that Punisher feels so grounded and down to reality that he does that thing, and just you see the dude's face afterwards, and you're like, holy. Fuck.
And this is the thing. They've really,
because you're thinking about it as being real for that.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Split second.
You got to remember too. Technically, this is the exact same universe that the Hulk and Captain America are running out in. Now, there's just no way Disney are going to put those two together. Not a chance in fucking hell. There's just not a chance. Can you imagine Captain America walking into the gym in that scene? Nah, Disney's just going.
I can't even say it because of the podcast. But just. Captain, I'm just gonna say it. Just cut it out. But just Captain, I can see it, where Punisher has the fucking the weight in his hand, and he's just fucking wailing that dude in the face. And then Cap comes in, and he's like, "Heard you need some help." And Punisher's just covered in blood, and he's just like, "Fuck off."
Exactly.
Holy shit, dude, Ethan, you have to get to at least that scene.
Oh. I'll try and get around to watching it.
It is fucked. He literally grabs, the weight.
Well, don't go and spoil it.
The weight.
Come on.
No, the weight plates off the free weights. He literally grabs one of those and just wails a dude in the face with it.
But you see it, and you see his skull collapsing in on itself.
Yeah, you physically watch his
shit pouring
his
out,
face fall in on itself.
Yeah. All right, so Punisher season 2. Yeah. I enjoyed it. It's probably not going to be for everybody. I think it's a good yarn. If it does go forward, it's going to be interesting. If it doesn't, it ends well. It's on Netflix now, so head on over and start watching. Push through the first couple of episodes at least if you're looking for hard action. It will come.
Nah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we've got Jessica Jones season 3 coming later this year in a few months, I believe.
Yeah, some point there.
It's not too far off. I think it's a few months away. And then assuming that everything is getting cancelled, then that will be it for Netflix and Marvel. I guess, you can always go back and watch them at any time, but that might not be forever either. So, watch them while you can. So, that's all the time we have for this fortnight. Thank you very much for tuning in and listening. A huge and special thank you to all our Patreon supporters who help make this possible. It's much appreciated. We'll be back next fortnight. Have we got anything juicy between now and then? Obviously, we've got some more Netflix movies to catch up with.
I was about to say, I think we've got Polar. Obviously, Polar's this weekend.
Not
we may
Polar.
even do IO.
Is it? No, not Polar. Polar's the one where he's in the Arctic.
No, that's Arctic.
Right. Okay, my apologies. There you go. It's all too confusing.
Polar's the Mads Mikkelsen one.
Yeah, so's Arctic.
They both are.
But Arctic's a survival one.
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah, the plane...
Arctic's about him...
Yeah, the plane crashes and he's helping this young lady stay alive and all this sort of stuff. Yeah, there's double Mads action.
So Mads
double the Mads, double the fun.
They'll both will be out by the time of the next one.
Let me get this straight. Mads Mikkelsen has 2 movies coming out in the same year about the same region of the Earth.
Well, I don't think... Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
One is Polar and one is Arctic.
Yeah, and one is a professional ex-hitman and the other is just a dude who's good at staying alive.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
but apart from that, I think Polar and maybe Io. I don't think anything else
And
major is coming
Velvet
out.
Buzzsaw comes out between now and the next one as well.
all right.
That's the 14th, isn't it?
Nothing
No,
at the
first.
cinema. Nothing at the cinema.
Oh, sorry, cinema. It's first, and then it comes to us late. No, I think it's it's 1st of February for Netflix.
Okay.
All right.
Nothing else. Nothing really out the cinema. I don't think. Only that Hugh Jackman frontrunner one. Apart from that, not really much else.
All right. It's all right. It's the lull before the storm because we're about to hit some crazy times.
I know. The episode after that though will probably be Alita Battle Angel.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
We'll be back next fortnight. Hopefully you will be too. Until then, have a great time. Enjoy the shows, and we'll catch you next fortnight.